right, welcome back everybody to another edition of Chasing Ghosts. This is the video series I do where I talk about those hard to find, those impossible to find comics, those things you just don't see on the Wally or LCS on most cases, most days. Even most shows don't have a lot of these books because some of these are very, very tough to find. I did squeeze a Venomized edition in over the past weekend because I wanted to get those Venomized covers out, and I had planned to do it for Tuesday, but then my buddy Phil Lee gave me another idea off of some of the back nine stuff that he's been doing lately. And I was like, you know what? This seems like a good idea. I'm going to do this for Chasing Ghosts here on my channel. But if you've been checking out the back nine over on comicbookinvest.com, then you'll see that last weekend we just did sexy covers. And not to give Phil's topic away for this week, but we're going to be doing some convention specials with New York Comic Con coming this week. It's fresh in everybody's minds. I'm not going, even though I'm in New Jersey personally. I'm just not ready for that type of crowd. I don't like that type of crowd most days, so I'm just not ready for that kind of action just yet. But good luck to everybody who is going. Stay safe, have fun. Hopefully you guys find some good stuff. But I do like convention season. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun variants and things come out of this time. So that's kind of the topic for today. But more on that in a few seconds. Just hang on after the intro. If you like what I'm doing here, please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. And like I said, we got a few books to talk about here just in a few seconds. So just hang on. All right, so I kind of teased a little bit there in the open. The kind of subject or the framework of this week's show it's going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to say these are not suitable for work, but they're a little bit on the sexier side. Like I said, piggybacking last week's back nine as well as the upcoming one, because these are going to be kind of more of the sexy convention covers that are out there, and some of these are really hard to find. They're limited edition, limited print runs of like 100, 500, 150. Like, this is just some tough stuff to actually go and find if you didn't buy it when they came out. Not a lot on the aftermarket in most cases, and it's just stuff that's difficult to track down. It's not the most popular stuff either. Like, I'm not talking about, we're not gonna be looking at like X-Men or Spider-Man covers here. This is gonna be some random some tough stuff to kind of track down. And with that, hopefully you find this interesting. And I will say the first one that I have on my list for this week is one I do not own, but I really, really do want. I've wanted it ever since I talked to, one of my favorite artists, David Nakayama. We talked to him on 3 Comic Money, and this cover came up, and I tell you, I just really, really want it. I don't know, it's just something about it. I just dig it. I just dig this goth girl kind of thing. It's right in that time frame when he first started doing those. I think he called them like full bleed. I forget what he calls it. It's like color wave, color. It's not quite John Tyler Christopher's negative spaces where the color bleeds into everything. This is just like the color, it just matches the character and it just goes all in one. I actually got some more from Ultimate, like that kind of stuff. Like, I just love these covers and I buy them all the time because I just dig the art. But this particular one is from Zenescope, which I know you'll make all the jokes you want. I know a lot of people like to crack jokes about Zenescope, but I tell you, they have some good covers. They have some great artists working over there, and some of this stuff is really tough to find. And this particular book that we're looking at here is a New York Comic Con exclusive that's limited to only 150 copies. I mean, this was September 2019, so it wasn't that long ago. And like I said, you can see it's even printed on the cover. If you can't see it, it's very, very tiny, but it does say exclusive, limited to 150. So even though my text says estimated, we do know the print run. It's 150 on this thing. So there are not a lot of copies. And I've been looking. And out of 150, I haven't been able to find one that I could buy yet. That said, we want to check the census on this. I couldn't find any. That's how tough this is. Nobody even subbed this book. On that black cover, I gotta imagine is tough in high grade. So if one were to get out there, I would be looking at it. But this is, again, this title, if I didn't mention at the outset, this is the Bridgewater Triangle, issue 1 from Zenoscope. Again, this is the convention exclusive. There's multiple covers on the regular edition, but again, this is the only one that I'm focusing on. It's David Nakayama, big fan. I love the layout of this thing. It's very hard to find, and it fits our category today because it is, again, a convention exclusive. And if you want to look at what's actually listed for sale on this book, if you are also shopping like I am, there's one, but it's $236 raw and $62 shipping from the UK. So this is $300, and I just can't. I like it, but I don't think I like it $300 like it, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm going to keep looking, going to keep hunting. So there's still 149 others out there, and maybe I can find one of those for less than $3. That's the hope, at least. But it's going to be tough because I've been looking for a while, and if you want to check and compare to what's actually sold, well, there's none that have sold in the last 3 months, so we don't have a market to compare it to know the high end of what we'll be shopping for. And like I said, it just doesn't come up. Just doesn't come up. But what are you going to do? And sticking with this, we're going to move on to our next book with this topic and artist, actually. And if the book next to me hasn't tipped you off, I do have this one. And this is a Motor City Comic-Con exclusive, also by David Nakayama. And I'm sure my buddy Marco would like this one because she is rocking her Detroit Lions shirt there, representing Detroit. Because again, Motor City Comic-Con 2016. And I believe he's actually going in a couple of weeks. So make sure you say hi to him if you see him at the show. But this particular book, I just also like it. I love the blue. Again, it's very early. This is 2016, I believe. And this is also the kind of style that David Nakayama's doing these days. And this is 5 years ago, May 2016, the Motor City Comic-Con, this exclusive was also limited to 500 copies for this one. This is Grim Fairy Tales number 122. And again, multiple covers, multiple different variants that go throughout. But this is the Motor City Comic-Con exclusive. Only 500, so there's more than the other one, that Bridgewater Triangle, but it's still not easy to find. I found one, thankfully, and I subbed it and got a 9.8, which I am also very thankful for. Just happy. It just came in clean, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to sub this with my other books because I'm not planning on reselling this. This is just for me. This is my collection. This is my book because, again, I'm a big fan. But when we want to look at the census for this book, there's still not a lot. There's only 15 total in the census, but 14 of them, including mine, are 9.8s, and there's 196 in the census so far. So not a hefty amount of copies of that 500 print run have gotten submitted. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe more people will dig this out and find it and want to go and submit it. But I doubt it at this point. This is 5 years now. And if you want to look at what's listed for sale, we got two. We got a CBCS 9.8 for $185, and then there's a raw for $45. So if you're in the market, $45 free shipping. It's not too bad for a limited to 500 book. If you like this, again, I just dig it. So that's why I grabbed one. And if you want to see what actually sold recently, so you can compare it to what the market should be, I guess, 8 bids at auction. September 5th this ended, $27. So not too bad. So just keep that in mind if you're out there hunting or out there shopping for this one. That's seems to be the price, but there's just the one. But there it is. I dig it. Like I said, it's just if you have this in hand, that blue, that Detroit Lions blue or whatever, it pops. It just pops off the page. I dig it. Which will take us to our next book. This is another, again, everything's covered with the shadow and everything, so it's not revealing anything untoward. But this Executive Assistant Iris number 3 from the Long Beach Comic-Con is also a limited exclusive edition. Now, this one is on the higher print run of the others, again, so from back then. But this book is limited again to 1,000, but it's still tough. It's still tough to find. If we look in the census, a 9.8 and a 9.2 is all I could find on this one. So not a lot of submissions on this 1,000 print run. And I got to trust when they put the number on the cover, I got to trust that number is accurate. So I wouldn't say, well, there could be less. I think they'll probably print what they had. Now, what actually survived, what's still out there, I've got no idea. But when we start looking for what's actually listed for sale for this thing, if you want to go and buy one of these things, well, you got one option. And it is signed, but they do want $300 for it. So it is not cheap if you want that one copy that's available. And like I said, it's got some SIGs on it. So if you're into signatures, there you go. Me, I'd rather have a raw with no signatures personally, but there isn't an option for that right now. So got to keep waiting, got to be patient and see if something pops up. But if you also want to see what's sold, this is another case where there are none. There are none. These books I specifically were looking at are ones that just, they're not a lot of copies. There's not a lot moving. So I don't know. Definitely a tough find, even though there's 1,000. But I don't know. I don't know where they are. So if you find one, let me know. I kind of dig it. I like that dragon tattoo on the back. I think it's pretty sweet. Now, the next one's a little bit tricky. This one is a witchblade from San Diego Comic-Con, I believe. And this is the J Company Comics exclusive. That J Company, I believe they did a few Witchblade books, where they did at conventions where they were very limited. They were limited like 500, 1,000 maybe, and just a couple hundred copies. Very limited print runs. They usually got a little bit more risque type of covers here, as you can see these two sunbathing. But this one was from November 2007, San Diego Comic-Con, and this particular edition had a print run of 500. So definitely not a lot of copies. But also keep in mind that this one also had a nude version of this cover that was more limited, and it was limited to only 100 copies. It was just bare bottoms, but I still censored it out because, yeah, it's a family show after all. But this is what you can get. This is limited to 100 copies. So you got 500 of the other, just 100 of this one. And neither of these two had any copies in the census that I could look at. I looked it up. There was a Texas convention one with a different cover, and the regular, and that was it. This book did not exist in the census, so I guess nobody subbed it, or they didn't sub it properly, so it's not logged in the census correctly. Who knows? Because again, this is years old, this book, and I've been looking at them for a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I come across one for cheap, but there were a couple copies listed of this one. I'm going to go with the first, with the 1 in 500 version with the bottoms, and you can see there's one that's looking for $300, and there's one that's looking for $80, and those are your two options. Two options out there if you want to go and grab this one for yourself. And if you want to see what actually sold, well, there again, none sold. So don't really know where the market is exactly on this book. And if you're looking for the limited to 100 edition. Again, nice. I mean, I like both covers. They're pretty cool. I dig it. I wouldn't mind having it in my collection, but they're not easy to track down. But this one does have 3, which is surprising. That the 500 only has 2, but the 100 has 3. Granted, still only 3. But they're looking for $270, $120, and $100. Each. So they are also not cheap for all raw for these. Because, like I said, there's none in the census. So I guess nobody decided to submit this. But again, you want to check what's sold. I'm sure you can guess. There are none sold for this one either. It's just one of those things, right? It's one of those things. It's not the time for this type of book, I guess. I don't know. Even though it's convention season, I guess nobody's looking back at these old convention books that they didn't have. But even though I did put the Motor City up next to me, I did consider putting up the next book next to me because I did buy this next book a couple of months ago because I just wanted it. And that is Witchblade number 135, this J. Scott Campbell cover, which I just really dig. This is a Fantastic Realm, I think is who was the store that did this book. And they did this at C2E2 in February of 2010. So Chicago Comic-Con, C2E2, it's a big show. So I think the print run on this thing was 750 from what I can gather out there. I don't know how reliable that number is because it's not printed on the cover, but that is what I found online when I looked this one up, how many copies there actually were. So it's not the most, but it's also not the least. But 750 is not too shabby of a print run. Again, Fantastic Realm at C2E2. This J. Scott Campbell cover, I really like it. And again, this one also looks nice in person when it's actually in hand with the moon and just the layout. It looks like trees, but it's actually the Witchblade, metal stuff kind of growing up there in the background. I just kind of dig it. And in the census, there are not too many copies. Mine's still raw. I didn't send it in because I don't think it's a 9.8, so I figured why bother. I think it's got a decent tick in it at least. But this one's only got 22 copies in the census, 5 of which are 9.8, 9 9.6s, and 7 9.4s. And then it looks like a random 9.0 or what's out there. So tough. in 9.8. But a lot of these convention books are going to be that way, because if people pick this up at a convention, they're throwing it in a backpack, they're throwing it in a shoulder bag or whatever they might be carrying, and that thing could get dinged up as they go through and make their rounds through this convention. People bumping into them, knocking into their stuff, bags getting tossed and thrown around as they go run into the bathroom, handing it to friends. These things go through the ringer. So getting 9/8 of these convention books, if you bought it raw, is going to definitely be tough. Just keep that in mind if you're out there shopping for this type of stuff. Just don't be that 9.8 snob. Just understand that you might not be able to get that 9/8 because there's not a lot out there, and some of the copies that are out there could have gotten beaten up a little bit. So just deal with it. At least that's what I feel. That's how I feel. I don't mind. Just don't overpay. Never overpay. And for this one, you want to see what's listed for sale? Well, there is a 9/8, and it is a green label because I believe it's probably signed but wasn't witnessed. So that's why they got the green label on that. But they're looking for $1,200 on that green label 9/8. The green's kind of cool, but the green label just has a negative connotation. It just makes a weird feeling of something being missing or damaged, or just, I don't know. It's not for me. It's not for me. But again, I'm also not a signature guy, so the uncertified signature doesn't do anything for me. Whether it was certified, it could be a yellow label, and I really wouldn't care all that much. But then the other two copies there were also signed. It looks like both by Campbell. You can see that familiar big scrawl that he has there right on the side. $250 and $150 for those raw copies of this book. But me, I'm not looking at those because they have signatures. I'm looking for these ones. These are the ones that were raw, no SIGs, because like I said, I don't care about the SIGs personally. $125 and $90 on that one down below. I can't remember what I dropped on mine, but it's probably close to that 90. It was expensive. It was pricey. I will admit it. I paid a bit for it, but I wanted it, and I had the money at the time. And sometimes you just pay for what you want. Doesn't matter. But you make your own call on your books. You make your own call on your own purchases. It's your money, after all. Don't let anybody else spend it for you. And you want to see what's sold on this book, you can see what the market is. You can see that there's another green label. I guess there's a lot of green labels for this thing. I guess Campbell might have been at the show, but the CGC wasn't there to do a lot of witnessing, and there's probably no CGC witness there to walk around with people. So I think there's going to probably be a few green labels out there, because look, there's a 9.6 best offer on $535, and then a raw that took a best offer on $125. So you got to still imagine it was over that $100 watermark for that sale. Maybe $100 is probably a decent discount on an offer. But who knows? I didn't bother looking into the actual prices on the best offers on these, because that's a level of we don't need to get into. It's just basic general information, general ideas. Again, you spend your money your way. But that's the books that I picked for this week. These are all, like I said, like sexy convention exclusives. It just was in my mind just recently. So I figured, you know what? We'll throw these out there as my topic. And again, I'm trying to be stricter with what I consider ghosts and not ghosts. So for now and for today's purposes, I'm looking at these three, the Motor City, both Witchblades, and I'm just deeming them all hard to find. I can't even say hard to find and expensive, because that Motor City you can grab for $45. It's not too expensive. And then the other two, it's because there's copies to be had. There's like 3 copies, or I know there's only 2 copies of the one, but then there's 3 copies of the 100. So there's 5 copies. There's copies to be had of this. So I can't say it's an impossible to find book, because there's options for you. However, I will say that with only 1 copy each for these two, even though there's a copy available, I still feel it fits that criteria, even though there's a copy. And those copies are expensive. I believe both $300 thereabouts. So it's just a case where I just still feel comfortable calling those 2 ghosts. So that's my call for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and hopefully you enjoy all the content that I am putting out here on Rennavision. Thanks again for stopping by. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you disagree and you think these should just be hard to find, all hard to find, or if you think some of those others should be considered ghosts, because 2 copies is not a lot either. I don't know. You let me know what you think. I'm open to suggestions. I'm just having fun talking about comics here, after all, and hopefully you're enjoying it too. And if you are, again, like, subscribe, alert button, tell your friends. Let's keep growing the channel, and I will see you guys soon with some more stuff.